Welcome back, everyone. In today's video, we're going to go over an exercise that I'm sure just about all of you have heard of or even done at some point, that being push-ups. Now, before I get started, I want to say flat out, if you have not been exercising in quite some time, or if you have any upper body issues related to your wrists, your elbows, or your shoulders especially, you probably shouldn't be doing push-ups, at least not at the beginning. And if you do start to work them in, you're really going to want to start at a fully modified point and little by little see how much your body can take, because this exercise, especially when done even slightly wrong, can have some pretty long-lasting and detrimental effects on your joint stability and health. The easiest approach to starting with push-ups is to find a wall and do the exercise from a standing position. So imagine there was a wall in front of me, and if I was just leaning into it and then pushing myself away. That's a good way to gauge as far as whether your wrist can take the pressure, if there's any sensitivity in the inside of your elbow, or if your shoulders feel like they're just not rotating in the way that they should. Testing yourself against a wall is a good way just to go over the initial concerns that there might be. And if that goes okay, then you can move to a modified push-up. So with modified push-ups, the first step is to set your knees so that your knees are parallel with one another and your feet at your toe line are touching the ground. And then you just walk it out until essentially you're building a tabletop where your arms and legs are parallel and your back is as straight and neutral as it can be. From that point, you want to reach up and out by about 8 inches on both sides. Get your hands reset, slightly turn your wrists out, and then push your hips forward until your shoulders are back over the line of your wrists. And then as you descend, you're just going straight down and straight back up. You're trying not to let your hips peak up. You don't want to let your hips descend towards the ground where your shoulder line is at an elevated point. You're trying to control that flat, neutral back all the way to the ground and then all the way back up through. Now, a lot of times people get the urge to cross their feet here. Don't do it. Every time you flex a joint and then crisscross it, you're exposing the very small tissue that covers that joint. You're flexing it, you're rotating it, and then you're putting additional weighted pressure on it, which typically is just a recipe for an injury. So try to keep your legs stable, try to keep your toes on the ground, and as you go through this descent, focus on pushing with your chest. And if you feel any kind of discomfort in this line of your shoulder specifically, basically this is your front deltoid, that's a sign that you're not doing the movement correctly. Another warning sign would be if you feel a pinch in the inside of your elbow, your hand alignment might not be right. It would help a little bit if you turned your hands out further, but if you feel any kind of real pressure in your wrist, you just might not be ready for this exercise because of the amount of force that is going to be put on that very small joint. So that's a modified push-up. Once you feel comfortable with the modified form, it's the same process where you'd set a tabletop, walk your hands out, same angle, about 8 inches up and out, turn your hands, but then you're just popping up onto your feet. And at that point, your shoulders should self-align over your hands. Keep your butt slightly elevated so that your hip and your shoulder socket are parallel with the ground. And as you descend, again, try to keep everything flat and neutral. Try not to let your butt go up and your shoulders drop, and try not to let your hips drop while your shoulders stay up. You want everything to be neutral and just controlled as you descend and go all the way through. Now again, the focus here is on your chest. There's a lot of different variations of push-ups that can manipulate what part of your body is getting pushed the hardest. So there's diamond push-ups. They're called diamond because you're literally making a diamond with your hands. You want to set your hands under the line of your shoulders and you're trying to drop straight down where your elbows will actually flare out to the side. These push-ups tend to put more more of the impact in your triceps and take it out of your chest. Now, this is a little bit more complicated, so you probably will feel more discomfort in your elbows, even more discomfort in your shoulders if you're just not ready to do this. Other ways that you can up the difficulty is you can raise the surface while keeping a gap in the middle. So if you're outside, grab some rocks, grab some cinder blocks, whatever you might have. If you're in a gym, you could use steps. So, steps that you might see in a step class or, use for box jumps. And really what the goal of this is same form, but this gives you the ability to drop even lower and then to take the motion through a fuller range of motion. So starting, same position you would on the ground, but you can take it lower than you normally could because you're not going to hit the ground as quickly, and then all the way back through. Now, if that feels manageable and you want to get more creative, you can start to play with your balance by lifting one foot. So you could have one leg elevated and then go through the motion, switching legs each time. Now, if you're going to do this, I'd recommend always pointing your toes back, because by pointing, you're going to contract your glute and your hamstring. When you leave your foot pulled forward, it puts a lot more pressure on your quads, and as you start to strain and struggle, any tension in your quad is going to travel down into your knees. So it could lead to an injury that you're not expecting just simply because your feet aren't in the right position. Some other options for the really advanced would be plyometric push-ups. So plyometric is where you're exploding off the ground to aggressively go through this motion. And typically, if you see somebody doing this, they might have a clap involved. So a plyometric push-up is slow down, and then you're trying to explode up, clap, and then control. I wouldn't recommend doing this if you haven't tried it before, and you probably want to have somebody there to just make sure your form's correct and that you're safe. Have some kind of padding in case it goes wrong, because your face will hit the ground. But it gives you an idea to be a little bit more creative if you want to push yourself further. So as a quick recap, if you're new to exercise or you have any kind of potential injury with your wrists, your elbows, or your shoulders, first, before you try to do a push-up of any kind, test it vertically against a wall. If that feels okay, move into a modified form, build your tabletop, get your shoulders aligned over your hands, and control your descent, and make sure that you're feeling most of that pressure in your chest as opposed to your shoulders. If that checks out, lift everything up, go through a traditional push-up. If you master that, you can start getting creative, whether it's with diamond push-ups, elevated push-ups, or plyometric push-ups. And there's a whole lot of other variations that you could work in. But the real goal with this exercise, and the only reason you should be doing it, is if you're looking to build stability and control through your chest, your abdominal wall, your obliques, your lower abdominal wall into your hip flexors, and really your lower back, in addition to your triceps and shoulder mobility and stability. So push-ups are extremely effective for a pretty wide range of muscle groups and functions. But if you're just looking to get stronger and you don't know what exercise you should do, push-ups probably aren't a good idea to start with. We'll go over some other exercises down the road that may be a better fit right out of the gate. But if you're at a point that you're ready to try this exercise, hopefully this video was helpful. Please list any questions you have in the comments. Please subscribe so that you'll get videos sent straight to you as soon as we publish them. And please let me know if there are any exercises you would like us to cover in the future. Thanks for watching, everyone. Hope you're all doing well. Take care, stay healthy, and we'll see you real soon.